Please note, the PTE exam material we provide in our YouTube channel is 99.9% repeated in the real PTE exam. It is advised you to practice the weekly as well as monthly prediction videos, according to your exam date, from our channel to get the same material in your exam. Wish you best of luck. Ready to start. 3, 2, 1.
There are a number of possible purposes for a social network. You now have a good understanding of how to analyze the basic characteristics of your social network or that of another individual. Network is a social relationship which helps transfer information such as traveling from one place to another. It also helps people get to different destinations more quickly if they need to travel in a long distance or two destinations. It is suitable for old cities with high density population like Paris. There are thousands of trips and too many travelers every day in Paris. The transportation network in Paris provides thousands of public services and links them together. A good network can help people with long-distance or multi-destination trips. In cities with high-density population such as Paris, people would better carefully plan their journeys by looking at the routes of the network in advance, to reduce the density of commuters at the same time.
The Human Rights Act can be seen as far-reaching, some would argue controversial in the UK's history of rights. At the same time, it can be described as a somewhat cautious document that provides the starting point for a wider application of law to rights. In many ways, the freedom protections contained in the Human Rights Act were not new to people in the UK. The Act puts into UK law most of the clauses of the European Convention on Human Rights. The convention itself was devised following the end of the Second World War by the Council of Europe. UK law has played a significant role in the drafting of the convention, and the UK was among the first governments to ratify the convention in 1951. Rights are sometimes described as being of a positive or a negative nature. That's to say, some can be expressed as a right to and others as freedom from. The 1998 Act puts into place 15 specific rights and freedoms, which include rights to liberty and security, a free trial, free expression, free elections, and the right to marry and found a family. There are also freedoms from torture, from slavery or forced labor, and from discrimination on grounds such as race, sex, religion, political opinion, or social origin. The Human Rights Act has been described as the start of a process. The Act itself does not expand on the provisions made by the European Convention, which some would consider is following a baseline or a minimum standard for human rights.
Globalization is an overused and often misunderstood concept. We hear it all the time on news broadcasts and in any type of public discussion. But the starting point for understanding globalization is that it is industries and markets that globalize, not countries. That's why it's helpful to think of globalization as the integration of economic activities across borders. But why does globalization matter? I would argue globalization matters because it means the rise of interconnectedness between countries and markets across the world. For example, One of the reasons why the financial crash of 2007-2008 was so serious was because the financial and banking systems of countries around the world have become so closely interconnected with the globalization of markets.
I'm going to start with vitamin D today, and I think probably most of you know that vitamin D is called the sunshine vitamin. And it's called that because there is absolutely no dietary need for vitamin D if you get adequate sunshine. And I think the real important words there is if, because it turns out that in certain climates which aren't near the equator, there's a big question as to whether or not you do get adequate sunshine. So vitamin D really isn't actually a vitamin. It's a pro-hormone. When human beings evolve, we evolved in tropical climates and ran around naked with plenty of skin exposure to sunlight, and so there was no dietary need for vitamin D at all. As humans migrated away from equatorial regions, they actually created a need for vitamin D in food because the sunlight wasn't adequate. I mean, certainly, particularly during the winter months, it wasn't adequate at all. To be a successful entrepreneur, you should have good ideas, but the definition of a good idea varies depending on whom you ask. A great idea should have several features. Firstly, the great idea should be various and novel. Secondly, the great idea should be unique, which means no one has thought about it. Thirdly, it is essential for great ideas to be transformative and productive. All ideas are essentially a combination of other smaller ideas, but this doesn't mean they can't be unique. Merely copying doesn't make anything idiosyncratic, it's the individuality that one puts in which makes a concept stand out. Constant innovation leaves no room for stagnation and thus, adds on to the basic idea, effectively making it unique. Unique ideas are inspired by basic things, they are simply extensions of pre-existing notions. And, an idea or a concept is unique only when it transcends its predecessor and serves its purpose in a better and more precise way.
Subscribe our channel to get weekly and monthly PTE exam predictions, according to your exam date. Please like, comment and share this video. Your appreciation is biggest motivation for us. See you in next video.